Let's learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube. Now I already have a beginner tutorial and it's been out for quite a while and a lot of people have watched it, but I realize as I've been teaching more and more people in person, I don't actually teach it the way I show in the video. So I wanted to go over it again, but talk about it as if I'm actually teaching you directly, and hopefully can even make it a little more easier to understand. So before we get started, let's talk about how the cube functions. One thing to remember is that it's not just a bunch of stickers, there's individual pieces. So on it you have the centers, which actually don't move. Everything spins around the centers. The centers are attached to a core here. You have 8 corners, and then you have 12 edge pieces. And we can even take this apart, and you can see we have these edge pieces right here, and this corner piece here, and everything sort of spins around that. Now we're going to do this in steps. And the first step is making a plus sign. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to mix this up right here. Now for everything right now, I'm just going to do the plus sign with the white color. And I would suggest doing it on all 6 different colors, but for this video, I'll just do it on white. I would suggest doing it all 6 because then you can be comfortable solving on any one and just finding which one would be the easiest to start with. So as you can see here, we already have a plus sign partially made. So for making this, you have only 4 edges that have white on it. None of the other edges will. And all you want to do is bring that one down to here. So I can move this bottom layer, set that up, and bring that down. So that's of course much easier said than done. And what I would suggest doing is just taking some time, mixing it up, and trying again. And just getting used to making the plus sign like that. And it can be tricky when you have a piece like this because it won't just go straight down. And you might have to only turn it 90 degrees, move that bottom layer, and bring that down like that. Take some time, take a few minutes, take a few hours, maybe even take a few days, and just get used to making the plus sign because you want to be comfortable with that. There's some things in cubing that are intuitive that we want to do without set algorithms or patterns, and that just takes time to learn. So once you get comfortable with making the plus sign or the cross, you want to make sure that it lines up with the centers, because remember, the centers never actually move. Everything spins around those centers. So although that blue is in the right spot, this green is not, that red is not, and the orange is not. So what we want to do is line it up with the center and then put it into place. So this red one can go right here and this orange one right there. Again, I would suggest mixing it up and trying again. So that green will go here, this blue one right there, red one right here, then where's the orange one? Orange is right here. So I'm just going to move it sideways and bring that in. Now that's one thing that was really confusing for me at first. I didn't realize that I don't need to keep green here right away. I just need to make sure that this orange is next to green so that I can line it up at the end. And once more, just do this over and over. If you want to spend even a couple days just doing it, just being comfortable with it. If you try to do too much too fast, often it can be confusing and be more frustrating than it's really worth. So again, here I'm going to move green down to there. And I could actually put red next to green. And that's it. Now I'm actually putting it facing down because that's going to make it easier in the end, instead of having it up and then flipping it. You can hold it any way you want right now, but when you start speed solving and if you want to get faster, you want to do that on the bottom. Now there's different moves that they call triggers in cubing, and they're a set of 4 moves that look something like this, or this, but it's usually 2 moves, each going one way and then the other. So this would be R and then U, R prime, U prime. And those letters are moving the right side clockwise, the upside clockwise, the right side counterclockwise, and the upside counterclockwise. It will be necessary to learn how to read algorithms. I'm going to avoid it for the most part here, and I'll put a video in the description of how to read algorithms and how to understand those if you want to do that right now. So once you finish the plus sign, like I said, there's only 4 edges that have white. Same thing, there's only going to be 4 corners that have white in them as well. And what you want to do is you'll find a corner, so this one red, white, and blue, and it needs to go to the red, white, and blue corner right there. So you line it up right over top of it, and then you're going to do a trigger that's called sexy move 1, 3, or 5 times. So right there, I'm only going to have to do it once. And so that sexy move is R, U, R prime, U prime. Here's red, green, and white, and again, I can just put that over top on that right side right here, and again, R, U, R prime, U prime. And that's it. Now, this one's already in place, so I can just do that sexy move 2 or 4 times. R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime. It looks like I didn't have to do that last U prime, but it'll come into play later on. And this one's already in place. Now, if you had something like this, where it was just in place but not in the right spot, just do sexy move, and it'll take it out. And then you can put it where you need to. And again, 1, 3, or 5 times. Now the reason you can't just do it once sometimes is because if you do it right here, it will go in but not be inserted the right way. So you need to do it a couple more times until it's oriented. And now we have the whole first layer. Again, do this part over and over. Don't worry about going to the next step until you feel comfortable with this. The next thing we need to do is insert these edges. And this is one specifically that I do a different algorithm now than what I used to do. What you want to do is find the edge that needs to go into that spot. So for example, this will be orange and blue. There's basically a 2-step setup process that you need to make sure it's lined up. The first one is line up the edge with the corresponding color. So we don't want that with blue, we want that with orange. And then you're going to hold the cube in front where that lined up color is either on the left or the right. Oh, and looks like we have that red and blue one right there as well. And the algorithm you're going to do, I'm going to first describe it in just general terms, and then I'm going to describe it in the actual algorithm the way it's written out. So for this one, what I do is you're going to be moving the side that has a color down and the top towards it. So for example, I'm going to move it down, then towards, down, then towards, down, and then you reverse it. You go backwards, up, backwards, up. That's in place. So if I do that again, but with an algorithm, the way I'd word it is L, because that's moving the L face clockwise, U, L, U, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L prime. And we can do the exact same thing for this red and blue. We line it up, so that's the first step. And the second step is that that color is on either the left or right side, and it's on the right side, with that open spot in the front. So for example, if I held it like this, the place it needs to go is in the back, so we need to make sure it's like this. The reason I describe it in those words first is because you'll do the exact same thing on the right side, where you move it down and the top layer towards, down, towards, down, and then back, up, up. And if I wrote it out as an algorithm, it would be R prime, because the right side's moving counterclockwise, U prime, R prime, U prime, R prime, U, R, U, R. Now I'm going to do this for the last 2 edges. It's okay if this is getting a little confusing because the algorithms are getting a little bit longer, but with a couple times practicing it, it'll get into your movements, into your muscle memory, and then you won't be thinking down or towards, your muscles will just automatically do it. Now if you have an edge that's in the wrong spot, you can either just do that algorithm once, or just put the correct edge in there. Now you might have to do that algorithm once if they're both filled up, but we'll just put this green and red one in. So step 1, line up the color, and then step 2, you want to put it on the sides with the spot it needs to go to in the front. So it's going to be on the left side. And again, I'm going to move it down, towards, down, towards, down, and then back, up, back, up. Now one thing also, if you feel like I'm going through this a little bit fast, remember you can pause this video, rewatch a section, or if you're watching this on a desktop, with the gear icon you can actually slow the video down to whatever speed you would like. And we have one more edge to go, this green and orange. So I line up the color. I have the open slot in front and it's going to be on the left. And again I go down, towards, down, towards, down, back, up, back, up. Now when I say towards, what I mean is that the top layer is moving towards, that front part is going towards where the open slot was. So if I do it on the right side, it's going to move that way towards that open slot. So now we have the first 2 layers done. And again, just do this over and over until you feel comfortable with it. Don't worry about learning the next step until you really feel like you can do this without having a paper in front of you. So now there's 4 more things where we have to orient the edges, making a yellow plus sign on top. Orient the corners, and you already know how to do that. I'll explain why. And then it's putting the corners in the right place. So moving this one maybe to here and that one to here. And then also putting the edges in the correct place. So first we're going to make the plus sign. There's only one algorithm you need to know with this. It starts with moving the front layer, and then you do sexy move, and then you move the front layer back. So as far as notation, that would be F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And you're either going to have one of 3 cases if it's not already solved. So if you have the line, you make it horizontal, and then you do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, and that will solve it every time. If you have an L or a J shape, you want to put it in the back left and do the same algorithm, F, R, U, R prime, F prime. And that will give you a line case, so you can just do it one more time. Lastly, what you might have is nothing. If you have nothing solved at all, you can do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, and that will give you that L shape. Put it in the back left, do it again. That'll give you the line, and then you can do it one more time. Now, if you're asking if there are shortcuts, definitely. There's ways that you can go from having just the dot to a cross with just one algorithm. But for right now, don't worry about learning any more algorithms, just worry about that one until you feel comfortable doing it. I have a video on an algorithm specifically for that L case as well as just a dot case, and I'll link that in the description. It's the one that's called for look last layer, which means doing one look or algorithm for the cross, one algorithm for the corners, and then one algorithm for putting the corners in the right place, and one for putting the edges in the right place. Now we get to orienting the corners, and you already know how to do this, and it's because it's sexy move. Kind of. It's sexy move, but upside down. So instead of doing R, U, R prime, U prime, you're going to kind of do the reverse. You're going to move R down, and then the down face over, then up, and then back. Now you could flip the cube over and do it this way, and that works perfectly fine, but I think we should get used to looking at it on top. So this will be something that will benefit you later on. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that algorithm 2 or 4 times, and then move the top face to get the next corner into that spot. So for example, this one I know I'm going to have to do 4 times. So I'm going to do R prime, D prime, R, D. Or I can just word it as moving it down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. Make sure you do that final move. It's going to be really important. Once it's solved, this looks really messed up, but that's okay. because once that's solved, you're going to move that top layer over to get the next corner and do it again. Down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. That one's now solved. Let's move it over. Do it again. This is going to happen 2 times for this one. And we have one more. Move it over. Down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. Down, over, up, back, down, over, up, back. So there's 2 things. Remember to move that down layer back. And when you go to the next corner, always just do a U move. Do not turn the whole puzzle. Because if you do that, that will really easily mess up the pieces, and then you'll be starting back from the cross. So like I said before, take some time, just get used to doing that until that's oriented. We only have 2 more algorithms to go. One of them is for permuting the corners, or putting them in the correct spots, and one is for permuting the edges. The corner one, I'm going to explain how I thought of this when I started, and then I'll write out the actual notation below. So this algorithm's kind of in sets of 2. So for example, the algorithm itself is I'm going to move this right side down and the front side down, that same direction towards it. And then I move the right side down and the back layer twice. And then we kind of reverse those first 2 moves, right side up, front side up. And then we do the same 2 moves again with right side down, back twice, and then R2. And you can see that moved the corners in the correct spot. So let me go through that again. The actual notation is R prime F, R prime B2, R F prime, R prime B2, R2. And one more time, I'll show you that once more. We've got right side down, front side towards it, right side down, B2, right side up, and front side up, right side down, B2, R2. So how do you use this? Well, you want to look for what they call headlights. So right here, we have no headlights because we have no colors matching. We don't have any headlights on any of the sides. You will either have none, you might have one side, or you'll have all the sides. So it's either none, one, or all. And if you have none, just do that algorithm. And you can see I moved things more with my fingers, and that's something you'd want to work on as you get more efficient with the algorithms. Now we do have some headlights. It doesn't matter if that blue one's there or not, it just matters if these are there. So you put it in the back, and you do that algorithm again. R prime F, R prime B2, R F prime, R prime B2, R2. And now we have headlights on all the sides. Last thing you need to do is the edges, and we have one more algorithm for that. If you don't feel comfortable yet with corners, just do that one over and over, and then we'll get to edges later. So for edges, the algorithm, it's a little bit similar to that one that you had when inserting the side edges. So the way I thought of it when I was learning was right side up, and then top towards. Right side up, and then the top away. Right side up, top away. Right side up, the top towards, and then right side down, towards, and then R2. And so once again, we have the right side up, towards, up, away, up, away, up, towards, down, towards, R2. So you'll either have 3 edges out of place or all 4 out of place. And so with this algorithm, what this algorithm does is it swaps 3 edges in the front, left, and right clockwise. So if you have all 4 edges out of place, do that algorithm once, and it'll move it down to just 3. Now with just 3, you put them in the front, left, and right, so the solve side will be in back. And this is going to move the green one here, the blue one here, and the red one here. And so it should be solved. Like that. Now, if it's like this, we have one side solved and these three here. That blue is going to be moved to the green side. So at most, if you have all four edges out of place, you'll have to do this algorithm 3 times. If you have just 3 left, you might have to do it twice. So once right here, and then once more. And there we go. So that is the Rubik's Cube. Now I'm going to do 2 more things at the end of this. I'm going to do a solve with that method, and then I'm going to do a solve with a more advanced method to show you what will be up next if you decide to keep going forward and want to learn more new things. So first, let's scramble this up. So looking at the white edges, I have one here and the red one here, blue and green. So, well, I know if I move blue down, that's going to put it right next to orange, which is exactly what I want because those are right next to each other. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to move this over, and I know green is opposite blue, so I can just move that right down. And I have this red edge here, so I'm going to move that one down as well. And that solved that plus sign. Now with experience, I was able to notice those fast. It might take a couple minutes. Don't worry about that for right now. And now we have corners. So here's the green, red, and white. So I'll do sexy move. And then I have blue, red, and white. So I'll put that on top. And I'm going to do sexy move. And then, oh, here's blue, white, and orange. So I put that over top. And green, orange, and white. There we go. Next, I'm going to do the edges. So here's green and orange. Line up the colors. Move it to the right or left side, so it's going to be there. It needs to go here. So down, towards, down, towards, down, away, up, away, up. There we go. And then let's see, where's another edge? We actually have no other edges here because these are all the yellow ones. So this blue and red one's in the wrong place, this green and red's in the wrong place, and that blue and orange is actually in the right place, but flipped. So let's take care of this one. There is a way, there's an algorithm, of course, to flip that in place, but right now we're just going to take it out. You can do it on any side. You can just do that algorithm, down, towards, down, away, up, and that kicked it out. So line blue up, and art prime, u prime, art prime, u prime, art prime, u, r, u, r. And then I'll do the same thing with this. I'll kick this one out. Art prime, u prime, art prime, u prime, art prime, u, r, u, r. It needs to go there, so I line up the color. It's going to be on the left side. So L, U, L, U, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L prime. And then lastly, here's that blue and red, and we have L, U, L, U, L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L prime. Okay, now we are on to the third layer. We have a dot, so I'm going to do F, sexy move, F prime. Move that to the back left corner, F, sexy move, F prime, and then we have a line, and I can do it one more time. Now that's solved. Now we have corners here, and we're going to do the sort of upside down sexy move. So here I've got R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. Move the U face over. Move the U face over. And move the U face over. Now, one thing you might notice is you're always going to do that 6 or 12 times. You'll never have a case that you have to do it less than that or a different number. It's always 6 or 12 times, and that will always fix that bottom layer. So let's go on to permuting the corners. These ones are already solved. We have headlights, so I put it in the back. And R prime F, R prime B2. R F prime, R prime, B2, R2. And those are all solved. So now, oh, that one's already solved, that edge. So this red's going to go here, green here, orange here. So I'm going to have to do this twice. So I'm going to do R U prime, R U, R U, R U prime, R prime, U prime, R2. And let's do that once more. So I move that right face up and then towards, up, away, up, towards, down, towards, R2. And that's solved. So take your time with this. If you have questions, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them. I do check the comment section even years after videos come out. I'm going to do one more solve though for you, and I'm going to do it in a way that I would do it, a more advanced method, and what you might be looking forward to in the future if you continue with this and want to keep getting faster. So we'll do white again, even though, like I said, I suggest really learning how to do any color cross. Actually, orange is really nice right now. You know, I will do orange just to kind of show what that would look like. So what I'm going to do for the cross, and I can already see I'm going to have to move this down, and then when I move that up, it's going to kick yellow and green over. So for example, I'm just going to hold it like this, and I know if I do, that solved the cross for orange. And now instead of just inserting one at a time, I'm actually going to pair things up. So for example, here's yellow and blue, and I'm going to insert them at the same time. This is a step that is intuitive, but it takes time to understand how that works. So green and white, I'm inserting those together. So don't worry about this just yet. It takes time to really understand the intuitiveness of this, but it's a much more efficient way of solving those layers. Then for the last layer, I know an algorithm for orienting the entire layer all at once. And then this one happens to just be a U permutation, but I'm going to do it with my left hand because that's going to solve edges clockwise. And there we go. So, like I said, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, of course, leave in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them. I'll have some links in the description to more advanced methods, tutorials, and just other explanations of this. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.